Welcome to Land a House. I'm Seth. Today I am reviewing the Jackery Explorer 1000 Pro power station, and I have the two Solar Saga 80-watt solar panels to go with this unit. Let's unbox this and get started with this review. Let's open up these boxes to get the full user experience out of this. The Jackery Explorer 1000 Pro will be first here. All right. Jackery is known for having these really bright boxes. So here is the Explorer 1000. I always like to see this much foam on a power station. It definitely makes a difference in the safety of the product. Simple packaging, but very effective. Let's move on to the solar panel as well, because I want to be able to use this today on a nice clear afternoon. This package comes with two solar panels and they are boxed separately here. So let's dump this up and see if I can't pour out those other boxes. All right, just like the other power station, this is well padded. Let's do an unzip of this real quick. There we go. There is the 80-watt panel. That's actually quite fascinating. The bag is designed to stay with the solar panel, and you simply fold down a kickstand and close this back up. So we'll take a look at this closer here in just a moment, but I want to dive into this power station first. Let's take a close-up look at the Jackery Explorer 1000 Pro. On the top here, it is just a blank canvas with a handle that pops up, and it does have a rubber grip up underneath to make this more comfortable to carry around. It folds down flat, which is very nice. Now, if you look at the main cover here on the front, it's got a light right here, which can be covered up and hidden. Kind of a unique design there. Over here on this side is your 12-volt for car charger. It has a display here in the middle. I can remove the protective film so we can see that display even better. It has a display on button right here. Down here is your button for 12-volt 10 amp. Turn that on. The light button is over here on this side. Now down here we have two USB Type A's 18-watt max, and two of your USB Type-C 100-watt max. If you want to turn these on, you press this button right here, and over here you've got three AC outlets, 120 volts, 1000-watt pure sine wave. To turn those on, you press the button right here. Down below, it's got the Jackery Explorer 1000 Pro logo. If we turn this over to the side, you can see a nice panel to allow some airflow. Turn over to the other side, you can see it is just the same. And then if we turn over here to the back, you can see it's got the DC input. It's got two of them, and that's where those Solar Saga 80-watt panels can go into. And over here, you've got 120 volt, 15 amp max input for your AC charging. There's also a sticker with some information there. And then on the bottom, it has some nice large rubber feet that are orange, and that will help you keep this from sliding off of a surface. Now let's see about turning on the Jackery Explorer 1000 Pro. So I've tried holding down the display button or pressing it quick, and nothing seems to come on, which makes me think perhaps this power station was shipped to us with a discharged battery. So let's set this aside and look at the included equipment in the bag here. And we should see a cord to allow us to plug this up to the AC power. And that should at least wake this unit up and turn it on. Interesting. It's an orange cord, but it's got some scuff marks on it. I don't know if that means it was kicked around in the package, or if that's a feature of manufacturing. Seems to be new. Interesting. All right, so that is the AC power. We'll just plug that up to a regular outlet. And then here we can charge through a car, and it has the DC plug on that side. And then let's see here, we got adapters that can go from different solar panels to make sure that this is going to charge from different cables there. Let's see if plugging this up to grid power will wake this system up. I'm going to take this and plug it up to my outlet over here. And then we'll turn this around so we can access the AC input back here. Move that cable down. I heard an electrical click, so let's see what we got here. All right, there we go. It does indicate that the battery was shipped to us at 0%. Let me press the display button, and that will bring up the screen here. So as you can see, 0% on the battery. It will take 8 hours to charge this at 113 watts. I wonder if we can do a dual charging with the solar as well. That would be convenient. Let's give it a try. Speaking of solar, Jackery sent over the Cell Saga 80, which is an 80-watt solar panel. I've used the panels from Jackery in the past, and they were 100-watt folding, but this one is a perhaps more rigid panel and does not fold. So I guess maybe it's designed to be out in the elements a bit more than the previous model was. The case here has a zipper around it and is insulated. You can lay that down. I wonder if the reflective surface here actually provides even more power because it will have sun hit here and bounce back. That's a pretty unique idea, and hopefully that's what happens. It does have a kickstand on the back that allows you to fold this out, and you can angle a little bit into the sun as need be. Let's take a tour around this solar panel. First thing I notice is that the corners have a thick rubber on them to prevent damage if you ever drop or kick these around. The coating on top of the panel should keep everything nice and water resistant. There is a handle up top here, and it has a strap on it which will keep the case on this unit. You could use Velcro to remove that if need be. Back here on the back, it has a little cable which will allow you to attach this to the power station. And here is the kickstand. It's got a rubber base to it, and it is a looks like plastic rod here. And so you can adjust that some to angle into the sun if need be, or you can fold it all the way back, and this will allow the panel to fold back. Ooh, my goodness, that was loud. Fold this down like that, and man, I wonder, Jackery might want to put a little extra foam all the way on that kickstand, because if you're going to be trying to use this one-handed like I just was, pops it pretty good. Anyway, so yeah, the cable is not too long, so we may have to bring the power station a little close here, and you can kind of see through the back of the panel, which is fun. Now, these are 80-watt panels, and there are 2 of them, and so we should be able to charge this power station up quicker if it will allow dual charging. I'm not sure how well that's showing up for you, but the input is 756 watts. It'll take 1.7 hours, and we're up to 8%. Let's go ahead and plug this up to see if we can charge with an additional 80 watts. So it dropped out the watts down to 96 whenever I did that. I've got this solar panel facing up into the sun quite nicely, and the cable is connected, but I'm still seeing consistent about 758 to 763 on the input watts here, so I don't think that the solar panel is dual charging. Hey, good news! I found a zipper pouch here on the little case for the solar panel, and they included a much longer cable. Awesome. Let's go ahead and plug up both of these panels and see if that helps with the dual charging. If not, we will disconnect the AC and see what the 2 80-watt panels will do together. All right, I'm going to disconnect the solar panel as it is right now and add this extension cable, which is about 6 foot long here. Let's go ahead and pull that out and then plug this up back here, and now I can plug this up once again. Very nice. And then I'll bring this out a bit. Yeah, that's way better. I can set this all the way down here, and won't be any issues whatsoever. All right, that's decently in the sun. Let me set up the other one real quick. You might not be able to see that. 760 watts coming in, 19%. I've set up the other panel. I want to plug this up and see if it changes that input whatsoever. Now, the cables are a little bit awkward right there because they're angled, but you can remove this little adapter here and plug up another one straight into it. So I do this, see what happens. All right, same as before, it's dropped it down to about 90 watts. And let's see if it goes back up here. Once again, back up to 760 watts. So these solar panels in this instance aren't doing anything, which means I can disconnect them. Or I can disconnect the AC power, and we'll see if these actually do get close to 160 watts, since they are both rated at 80. Now, of course, I don't have them in the perfect direction here to do this, but let's see what we get. Right now we've got 57 watts coming in from solar. Learning all kinds of stuff. So I pulled out this side over here and realized that it did not change the output whatsoever. And so I removed this little adapter piece and it began charging immediately. So as soon as I did this right here, it went from 59 or 60 watts coming in, as you can see right there, and now it jumps up to 120. So now we are cooking pretty good. It'll take 9.8 hours at that rate right there to get this battery fully charged in the sun at 121 watts. Very nice. Well, it's good to know that the solar is able to charge this unit, although 120 watts is a bit slow. And so let's go ahead and plug this back up to the AC power and charge it at 700 watts. And that way we can begin our discharge testing at a full battery. The charge is now up to 65%. Let's do a real quick test to see if it's possible to have an AC application being used at the same time that it's charging. So let's turn on the AC here. All right, I just heard it click on. So we got 770 watts coming in. All right, there's 9 watts out for the fan. And this heater should pull a significant amount of power. Yep, so we got 550 watts on the output of that, while 769 watts coming in. So it is possible to run a pretty good load here at the same time that it's charging. That's good to know. The Jackery Explorer 1000 Pro is now fully charged up and ready for our discharge test. I'm going to take this kilowatt meter here and plug it up right here, and then I've got a heater which will run at different settings, and I can plug that up to act as our load. So we'll go ahead and press the display button to turn this on, and I'm going to go ahead and press the AC on button right here. Let's go ahead and do a reset on the kilowatt. I'm also going to be timing this with my phone so we know where we stand here. All right, let me turn on this heater. Let's see what setting number 1 will do for us. All right, that's running at 597 watts. The second setting is running at 888. Let's go with that setting. Now we know we have a load value of 888 watts. The Jackery Explorer 1000 Pro has a watt hour of 1002. With those two numbers, we can figure out how long this power station should be able to run this load. That math is 0.85 times 1002, which is 851.7, divided by 888 is a decimal point of 0.959. That's the hours. So if we say times 60, this should run for 57.5 minutes. So let's see how close we get to the 57.5 minute mark as we run this load. You can see that the watts of this heater do fluctuate a little bit, so it may actually last a couple minutes longer if it's a few watts less. All right, let's see how we're doing here. As far as time goes, we're at 45 minutes. If I check the display of the power station here, we're at 18%. And if I check my kilowatt meter here, I'm at 0.65 kilowatt hours. All right, let's see how it does for the last 18%. Our time is 54 minutes. We've got 0.78 kilowatt hours, and we're at 1% left on the battery. So it should not be long now before this unit kicks off. There we go, 57 minutes, is right when it cut off, and we had 0.82 kilowatt hours on the meter there. Okay, well that concludes the discharge test of the Jackery 1000. So what do we have? This had a watt-hour rating of basically 1000, and it ran for 820, let's say. So that's somewhere around an 81%. And so I know that having this inverter on will consume some power, and then of course the load was pulling the majority of that. As far as the time goes, 57 minutes was spot on, so I am glad to see that. Okay, now that we have the AC output test done, I'm going to put a charge back on this, and we can do some further testing with the brightness of the light and also the DC side of this unit. I feel like we have a good handle on the AC output of this power station. Let's go ahead and try out the DC output. I've got an air compressor that requires a pretty good bit of amps, so let's go ahead and turn the display on. We've got 18% here. I'm going to plug this up and then turn on the DC 12 volt 10 amp. Okay, the fan turns on immediately. Let's see if this power station will handle this compressor turning on. All right, looks pretty good to me. Let's go ahead and turn that off. We can cover this back up. All right, we'll go ahead and turn off that plug. And then I want to turn on my USB over here. And I've got a flashlight that has a battery in here. All right, checking the display. Looks like 5 watts output there on the USB. So that is working properly. All right, now that we know that's going, let's go ahead and test out the light up here. I moved the power station inside so we can test out this light. Go ahead and pull this cap down here, and then I'm gonna be turning this on just like this so we can see the output here in the dark. So there are multiple settings that we will check out. All right, let me turn the light off real quick so we can see that in operation. All right, I'm gonna press that on button for the light. And let me step back here so you can kind of see the different settings. So there's the low setting, there's the high, there's the SOS, and then back to off. So whenever it's on the low setting here, looks like it's going to consume 1 watt. When it's on the high setting, it's going to consume 3 watts. Either the high or low setting is sufficient light to read by or even do a little bit of work by if you need to. All right, a few thoughts in conclusion here on the Jackery Explorer 1000 Pro power station. Let's consider the unit itself here. So the lithium iron phosphate battery in here, we saw to run somewhere around 82%. So perhaps a little lower than I was anticipating. I've seen some of these going up to 85, but I think it's going to be sufficient to have that range whenever you're working with this power station. So not too bad there. The inability to charge through both solar and the AC at the same time was a little bit of a disappointment, but I understand. I guess not everybody is going to have the solar panels and be next to the grid at the same time, so it makes sense. Now, one thing that's very nice is to have the AC to DC converter inside of the box, so you don't have to carry around one of those big power bricks. It's already built into the unit here, so that is very nice to have, which means it drops your little extra bag down to a very thin size, not having to carry around such a big heavy adapter. So that's good. I enjoy a power station that has a light on it, just because you never know when you're going to have to be in the dark with this power station. So that is a big plus. The size of the unit is pretty typical for this kind of a power station, so I like that. So yeah, as the power station goes, seems to work well. It doesn't really have the fast charging up to 1400 watts, but it does have the pass-through power, so you can both charge the unit and use the AC at the same time, and that is a good feature. Now, with the solar panel, I expected a little bit more out of this. With the two of them, I got 120 watts output when I was thinking a little bit closer to the 180 would have been nice. So if you are going to be traveling, these panels are nice and rigid. So the panels did work. They were just not quite to the rating I was anticipating. And I'd like to see one change for Jackery, and that is to put a bit more pad on that kickstand, because whenever I close that kickstand against the glass, it hits it pretty hard. I'd hate to break that somehow doing that. So the included cables we saw were for the AC charging through a typical plug, plenty long enough, and it also had the car charging ability. And so that would only allow you to charge at about 120 watts or so. And so keep that in mind as you're traveling. It'll be a little bit slower to charge this back up. All in all though, I think the power station operates as advertised and seems to be a pretty decent little unit here. If you want to check out more information on the Jackery Explorer 1000 Pro, I will have a link to their website in the description down below. I'm Seth with Land A House, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.